Hey, Maddie. I was randomly thinking about what were the top 3 hardest decisions that I had to make in my business this year. So I figured I'd come on here and tell you about them and walk you through why these decisions even came up, how I made the decision, what the decision was, and whether I regret the decision. I'm here with my licorice tea. I'm ironically actually holding my old corporate company's mug, which I should probably just shatter. But my husband is working on a little hobby project before we start our New Year's celebrations at 8 p.m. So figured I'd just come on here and chat. So the first decision that was like really freaking difficult to make like very early on in the year was the decision to move away from done for you services and pivot into coaching. And so when I first started my business, I was focused on LinkedIn. I was actually focused on LinkedIn profiles specifically, and I was doing done for you LinkedIn profile services, right? So I did I think I talked about this. I started with like $150 LinkedIn profile review sessions. I scaled that to an $1,800 done for you offer. Hey. And so I was selling this like done for you LinkedIn profile service for like $1,800, and it was a really good product because I had basically scaled it to the point where it only took me like anywhere between like 6 to 8 hours per person. And so it was like a really scalable offer, and it was like higher ticket. It was done for you, so I had a lot of like control over the creative, a little different to coaching, and I did really enjoy it. Like I really liked writing LinkedIn profiles for people. And it actually took me to my first 10K month. So when I was selling this offer in January, when I had raised the price to $1,800, hey, thanks for joining, Elodie. I had scaled this offer to $1,800, and so I had gotten like 4 people inside in January, and I had some like video work that I was doing for brands as well. So it actually took me to my first 10K month within like 4 months of my business. And I had also actually gotten my husband to build this like really crazy automation inside Google Sheets that basically made it so when the person paid for the service, everything was automated. Like it was like push button. I would send the survey, like I would get notified when they would fill out the survey, like the call would get booked, there was like this whole workflow. Everything was super automated. So per person, it was only like 6 to 8 hours, which is like, again, very scalable, right? And so I had this whole system, like everything was so streamlined. It was like a super easy offer. I was killing it. Like my clients were so happy. They were getting great results from the service, but I kind of like just didn't feel super excited about it. Because the thing is, when you're doing LinkedIn profiles for people, I felt like sometimes I was attracting people who just wanted something done for them, and they actually weren't necessarily that motivated to like go and network on LinkedIn and like create content and all that stuff. And so I felt like I wasn't working with the right type of people who were going to like really use LinkedIn. They kind of just wanted like their profile done. And so I just didn't really feel excited about it, but it was like a really difficult decision because I was on track to make like 10K months pretty consistently as long as I kept like finding more people. And it was like very easy for me to find people because I had like a really strong brand on LinkedIn. I was very closely known for LinkedIn profiles at that time. So I'd been talking about that for like 4 months. And even on TikTok, a lot of people would find me for like the LinkedIn profile specifically. So like from a marketing standpoint, like I could have continued to get clients for it. And then I could have kind of built out the done for you service into like the rest of the LinkedIn things, right? But I knew I didn't want to start like an agency because I felt like the margins were just like very difficult. You have to like hire people, manage people. I'm not like in love with managing people, at least like not at that stage of my company. And the biggest thing though was I felt like that offer was scalable. Like it was minimally scalable, but I felt like at some point I was going to get capped because I can only write so many LinkedIn profiles in a month, right? And I could kind of tell like I was going to get tired of writing LinkedIn profiles. And so the difficult decision was like, do I walk away from an offer that is going to like give me really good revenue, right? Or do I like actually do what I really want to do and kind of just like plunge myself into the world of coaching, even though I've never really like officially done coaching. I've done a lot of mentoring, but I never really like officially done coaching, right? And so I decided to follow my heart, and I was like, I just want to do what I want to do. I want to do coaching. I feel like I can scale myself more. And so I decided to essentially abandon that offer. I took it away from my sales page, and it was really painful because in December, I had actually paid $2,500 for a copywriter to write a sales page for me. And then literally in February, I like scrapped the offer. And so, it was just like really tough because I was like, am I doing the right thing? Just like following what I want to do, or like, should I be following the money? Right. And this has kind of been like a recurring theme in my entrepreneurial journey where like, I once self-published a book about breaking into product management, and like a lot of people wanted me to like continue talking about product management and like coach on how to get into product management, and I just like didn't really want to do that work. I just like didn't light me up, and so I decided to like not go for it, and instead I went and tested like 6 different SaaS ideas that like all blew up in my face and failed, and I had to go back to corporate. But like I feel like my recurring theme is like, if it doesn't light me up, like I don't care if it brings me money, like I'm not doing it. And so that's why I walked away from the Done For You offer. And whether I regret it or not, I don't regret walking away from Done For You services. Like I much prefer coaching. Like I think I'm just like better suited for coaching. I'm able to like create a better impact. I feel like I also attract people who kind of like want to do the work as opposed to like having things done for them. So I feel like there's more like impact long term that like they're able to create in their business after like I've like coached them and stuff like that. But I think the other thing is like, I do regret walking away from it so quick. Like I do regret kind of like just dropping it. I could have just like kept it going for a month or two to kind of like bring in extra revenue until I crossed over to coaching. But this is very like in line with my personality. It's like, if I don't feel like doing it anymore, like I'm literally going to drop it. Like, again, it's like the money doesn't really matter. So I don't really regret, I certainly don't regret pivoting away from Done For You services, but I could have maybe kept the offer going for a little longer. So that was kind of like part of it. But overall, I think also it like really forced me to go into coaching. It forced me to create coaching offers, and it forced me to like start coaching and like get serious about my marketing for my coaching offers. So yeah, I mean, it led me to where I am today, so can't really complain. So that's the first kind of really difficult decision that like really tormented me for a while. And I felt really like guilty about it for a long time while I was kind of like rebuilding my very early business into the coaching area. The second decision that was really difficult to make was expanding past LinkedIn, because I'd been talking about LinkedIn for like literally 3.5 years. My whole business, this business, was built upon like teaching people how to do LinkedIn. I was associated with LinkedIn, especially on like TikTok, on LinkedIn, and even on Instagram. All this year, I've been the LinkedIn person, right? It's been the LinkedIn baddie. I even built a community and a movement called the LinkedIn Baddie Movement. I had a LinkedIn Baddie program, LinkedIn Baddie community. It was all LinkedIn Baddie everywhere. And I had a really good niche. Like I had a very, very unique niche where I talked about LinkedIn in a really fun way, right? It was like the authentic approach to LinkedIn, the entrepreneurial approach to LinkedIn, the baddie way of selling on LinkedIn and just kind of being authentic and all that stuff. And a lot of people would immediately hire me because of that. They would literally seek me out. People would refer me, right? I had like what I like to call like a chokehold on that niche, right? And not a lot of people were talking about LinkedIn in that way. So it was just like, I stood out like a sore thumb. I dominated the TikTok search. A lot of people found me. And it was just like such a like good niche to be in. But I had started getting bored of talking about LinkedIn. So 3.5 years later, I also felt like, I was driving a lot of results for my business outside of LinkedIn too. So it was like Instagram, TikTok, even like YouTube, email. Like I had this whole like multi-channel thing going on. especially because like in October of this year, I'd already been on Instagram for like 6 months, if not longer, like 7 months. And I'd really learned how to like sell on Instagram. I had like made $20,000 or more like from Instagram alone. And I had like done all this stuff with Instagram. And not to mention, all my clients were initially finding me on TikTok. So it was like, yes, I was really good at LinkedIn. Yes, I brought a lot of business in through LinkedIn, but that wasn't the only thing that my success was about. And then it got even trickier because my clients started wanting help for Instagram. And the truth is, like, it's not really a different strategy. Like when it comes to content, it's really the same content on any channel. You're just tailoring it to a different platform. And so obviously when they plugged my LinkedIn strategies onto Instagram, like they started getting results, they started landing clients, they started booking sales calls, they started getting more engagement. Like one of my clients like went viral with like 118,000 views and like all this stuff. They couldn't even like keep up with their DMs anymore because they were getting so many inquiries and booking so many sales calls. But basically, so it was like this like thing that was staring at me the whole time that was like, I should probably expand past LinkedIn. But I was scared. And the number one reason, the two reasons were, number one, it's like imposter syndrome. I was like, do I really know Instagram? Do I really know TikTok? Like, am I really like, like allowed to like talk about this stuff? Like, do I have a right or whatever? But the other fear, which was a very real fear, was I was going to lose my grip on my niche, right? Because again, when I was talking about LinkedIn, I was super unique. I was talking about LinkedIn in a way that no one else does, especially on Instagram, which is really saturated. And now I was talking about content in general, right? So this decision took me honestly like a month to really kind of like properly warm up to and accept and actually start executing. And so I did it with my coach. So I'd actually hired a coach to help me build like a new high ticket program. And she was the one that kind of broached the subject. She was like, listen, do you want to build a LinkedIn program and potentially get sick of it in 3 months? Or do you want to actually just expand your business? Like work a little harder now, but like expand your business. And I was like, I decided on the latter because again, like I talked about earlier, it's not really about money for me. I've always picked the one that like kind of lights me up, is a bigger challenge, feels more aligned. And so I was like, whatever, like let's take longer to build a group program, but it's going to be multi-channel. I'm going to basically teach people how to do multiple platforms because it's all the same content like we talked about. But that one was like a really scary one. And it was again a pivot, right? Because the first one was from done for you services to coaching. And this one was from LinkedIn to multiple platforms, right? Just talking about LinkedIn content and selling in general. And I think I could have executed it better. Like, I feel like anytime you're doing a pivot, it's always like so hard to make sure that you're like talking about it enough and like you're like, explaining to your audience why you're doing it, especially when you have like imposter syndrome. You're kind of just like not really yet like ready to like openly talk about it every day. And so it's kind of like a little bit, at one point I basically just dropped LinkedIn. I was just like, and I think that was just a reflection of how sick of only talking about LinkedIn I was. And so when I pivoted, I kind of just like stopped talking about LinkedIn, which was like not ideal. And I kind of like have brought that back now. Like I talk about LinkedIn a little more on like my TikTok and stuff. I need to do it more on Instagram. But basically, it's just been, it's been a difficult balance because it's really hard when you're going from like people associate you, because what happened is like people associated me as the LinkedIn person. And when I pivoted to Instagram, like I really wanted people to see me as like the content person. So I kind of like stopped talking about LinkedIn because I was like, I don't want them to continue associating me with that. But I knew at the same time I was kind of like losing my edge with it. So it was like a really difficult balance to like make sure that I was like still kind of holding on to my authority around LinkedIn, but I wasn't just like pigeonholing myself anymore. And so the thing that surprised me the most is I feel like people still associate me with LinkedIn. And I think it's just like the strength of like the brand that I built. And the fact that like there still is content out there where I'm talking about LinkedIn. But it was definitely like a very tricky pivot. And I think I don't regret it at all. Like I think it was like something that was honestly like a long time coming. I think I really just like rolled with the LinkedIn thing for a long freaking time. Maybe like longer than necessary potentially. I don't know, maybe not, who knows? Here I am. But I still sometimes get anxiety because I know that like I don't have that grip like I did with LinkedIn, but at the same time, I'm taking it as a challenge, right? Like I can't hide in my LinkedIn box forever. It's like this safe little box where like I know that I'm differentiated, but I have outgrown the box. And so even though I've stepped out of the box and it's been harder for me to kind of find I like to call it like a niche defender. It's like a thing that like defends the fact that you're in the niche. Like it really positions you. People associate you with it. Like people know that like, oh, that's her thing. I don't feel like I have yet really gotten that again since I pivoted away from LinkedIn, but this is just kind of the process in business, right? Like it takes time to really pivot. You have to really talk about it frequently. I probably need to talk about it more, and just build out your new kind of like authority, right? So it's still a work in progress. This third hardest decision, freaking hell, this one really like, all of them were very crippling in terms of fear, but this one probably just comes back the most because it's the most recent, which it was like literally 4 or 5 days ago. And it was the decision to actually launch my new mini program. So as you know, maybe you don't, but like I launched a new program called Content Baddie about like a month ago. It's a 6-month high level group program for the baddie who is like already converting with their content, but they really just want to like get super consistent, get really specific on like their ideal client, call in the most highest caliber of client, really like refine their marketing to the point where it gets really repeatable. That's why we need 6 months. And really like build up their brand, especially across multiple channels. So making sure that like they are really building a consistent brand experience and sales strategy through their content across multiple channels, and like really just like leaning into who they are confidently. And so initially my strategy, because I worked on this with my like current coach actually, and the plan was to only run this high ticket program, to have that be the only way to work with me in 2024, which I actually kind of feel bad about because I talked about that in my stories where I was like, Content Baddie will be the only way to work with me. But also you learn things as you go in business and you have to pivot, right? So like part of me feels bad that like I said that and it turned out not to be true. But at the same time, I don't think anyone's like, because a bunch of the people who jumped into my new mini program, which is for Instagram, it's like a little mini 5-week program. It's not like they're going to be like, oh, you said the only way to work with you was Content Baddie, and now you launch this other program. How dare you? And it's like, no, it's a way for them to work with me. So they're happy. But the reason that I really struggled with the decision to launch it was because I had sort of like committed to only focusing on this high ticket program. And it was going to be kind of like a way for me to scale my business, where I was like, obviously like when I sign someone onto the program, it's like, you know, upwards of $1,000 per month. They're committed for 6 months. So it's kind of like you have to sell to fewer people, right? And you can kind of like scale your business. So that was very much like the strategy. And I worked on the positioning for this program. I worked on like the program for like such a long time. I put like a lot of time into it over like 2 months or more. It's probably like 2.5 months. And I'm launching it on January 5th. Like it starts on January 15th, sorry. But the truth is, and this was always kind of like staring at me, was the fact that the way that the online coaching space is going and the way kind of people are buying these days is they really need a touch point with you before they invest a higher ticket amount with you. They want to get a taste of what it's like to work with you. They want you to drive some results for them initially. And I think a large reason for this is because people are really looking to work with coaches who they truly align with, right? It's not just about the results. It's about like, do you actually want to be in this person's energy? Does this person make you want to be who you want to be, let's say like in your content or whatever like the situation is, right? So it's kind of like this massive alignment exercise, and it's really hard to just get a feel of someone truly through their content, right? And so and also and the other reason is I had some people inquiring for Content Baddie who were a little bit earlier on in their business journey, and I felt like they weren't quite the right fit for Content Baddie yet. And I felt really kind of crappy just like turning them away with no other solution, because I truly believe that like you should serve people at multiple levels, and then you should like upsell them through their journey. And that's actually what I've had the most success with in 2023, is just like upselling clients to the next offer. That's actually how I made like a lot of my revenue in 2023. But basically, I also found like some people, so basically like, and I also think that if you don't serve people at that kind of like earlier level, and you're just kind of like come back when you're ready for the higher level, I don't know that they're going to come back, because they're going to go buy someone else's program and then that person's going to upsell them, right? Or they're going to go get results from someone else and they're going to be like, well, I'm going to continue getting results from this person, right? So it's kind of like you're losing a part of like your like people who are willing to work with you, right? And so when I launched this new Instagram program, which I'm dropping tomorrow, a lot of people jumped in who I think honestly, when I was marketing Content Baddie, it was just didn't feel aligned to them, because it was just like too much too soon. They're not ready for it. Maybe they're just not ready for like a $7,000 investment. Maybe they just don't want to commit to 6 months yet. Like, I don't know, maybe they're not convinced they want to commit to 6 months with me. That's totally fine, but I think they need an earlier touch point. And the truth is, for me as well, like I've always loved, I want to have the type of business where I'm dropping multiple offers and I'm getting people in multiple places, and I'm kind of like, because sometimes I like running a shorter program because the energy is very different from like a longer program. Because when you have like 3 or 6 months with someone, it's like a bit of a slower burn. But if you have like a 2-week group program or like a 5-week group program, it's like, or a 4-week or whatever, or even like 6 weeks, it's like, it's a little more condensed. And so like the energy is different. It's just like more kind of like, and usually there's more people, right? If it's like a shorter program, it's usually like a lower price, which typically you want to get more volume, right? So you kind of get a little bit more of a community feel, right? Which is a different style of offer. The long-term offer is great. Like my 6-month offer is like, you want to get intimate with me. You want to literally just like, literally freaking get surgical with your marketing over like 6 months. Just like dissect your ideal client, really refine your content, really develop your voice through your content. But it's a different experience. It's a slower burn, right? Versus like a 5-week hit. Let's say you're like early in your business, you still have a bit of a smaller account on Instagram. You really just want to kind of get some momentum going. You don't want to like, you're not ready to spend $7,000, but like you're going to spend $500 and you're like, okay, I'll put some, like I'll inject some momentum into my business. That's where you might want to come into like my lower ticket, kind of like mid-ticket group program, right? And so I was really scared to make this decision because it was going to really stray from the strategy that I had agreed to for 2 months and that I'd been building towards, right? I felt really guilty. And to be honest with you, I kind of knew my coach was going to be like, what the frick are you doing? Like, this is not part of the strategy. But I really calmly explained to her, I'm like, listen, even if this is a mistake, I'm willing to just make it, whatever. I don't think it is. But, and this is like something that I really want to highlight that I've learned this year, is it's really important to practice discernment when you are running your own business, even if you're working with a coach, because I truly believe that no one knows your business as well as you do. And of course, like I love, my coaches. Like, I love working with a coach. Like, I really value their advice, but at the end of the day, it's advice, and like, you need to be the CEO in your company. You can't just like be taking orders from people. You have to really think about, like, is that truly the right decision for my business? And I think that's what really sets apart like a business owner that's going to make it versus one who is not, because they're just literally following what someone is telling them to do. And so even if they get results with that coach, as soon as that coach goes away, they're not able to drive decisions on their own, or they just get paralyzed with fear, right? You have to be the type of business owner who is actually able to practice discernment and understand what is the best strategy for you given your knowledge of your own business, right? And so that's something that I did in the last like 5 days of 2023. I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm going to literally just like take the bull by the horns and just make this executive decision and decide that like, I think this is the best move for my business, and I'm just going to go for it. And I'm going to take accountability. Like, if that ends up being the wrong decision, well, then that's on me, right? It's not on anyone else. And even if it like ends up being the wrong decision, it's like, I would rather just like try it and know that it was the wrong decision than forever wonder, right? And so, yeah, it was definitely like, I'll be honest with you, it was like 2 days of like crippling anxiety. Like, I know it sounds really weird where it's like, why wouldn't you just drop the offer? But like, again, it was just like, I was really straying from a strategy that I had committed to in my business. But so it was really tough. It was like, am I just kind of like, because I had to really like inquire with myself. I'm like, am I looking for quick cash? Am I getting lazy with marketing my higher ticket program? Am I getting scared to market my am I like worried that like people don't actually want to like, am I worried about like the value of Content Baddie? And I had to really like, I really freaking sat with it. I journaled a ton. Like, I freaking talked to my husband for like ages. Like, this was like a really, really tough, like, I wanted to make sure that I was not making the right decision. This is very different, but I wanted to make sure that I was making this decision for the right reasons. And I think this is something that is so important in business, because you don't know that you're going to make the right decision, but you need to make sure that you're making the decision for the right reason. So that's why I asked myself, I'm like, am I looking for quick cash? Am I just scared that Content Baddie is not valuable enough? Am I just like succumbing to like some kind of lower level version of myself? And after doing a really deep inquiry, and again, doing a lot of freaking journaling and a lot of meditating on this, I was like, no, I'm not. I'm truly not. I am genuinely listening to my audience, and I'm also listening to what excites me. Because when I thought about dropping this like mini 5-week program, I went back to the days of like when I was running LinkedIn Baddie. Like, I did 2 rounds of it, and it was so fun because, again, like I said, the energy is different when it's a shorter group program. And so I was like, I really want to drop this. Like, it's not about the money, because like I wasn't even expecting to make like extra revenue necessarily in the last like 5 days of 2023. Like, I was just like, I'm good with what I have, right? It was genuinely like, I actually thought that it was just going to be really fun. That was the first one. Number 2, I was like, I truly believe that my audience needs another touch point with me before they decide to potentially invest in higher ticket with me. Number 3 is, I know that some people are just early in their journey. They're not ready for Content Baddie. They're not ready to like invest $7,000 into a 6-month program. Like, and also like, even if they wanted to get into Content Baddie, I would politely advise them against it, because they're just not there yet, right? So like, what do I do with these people? Do I just leave them like high and dry? Like, no, I'm gonna help them with an additional program that is a little bit earlier, right? More introductory for them. So that's number 3. And number 4 was, no, I forgot what number 4 was. I had another one. Oh, number 4. This is my favorite one, actually. I really wanted to push myself to just launch it. I was like, this is so crazy. We have 5 days left in the year. what if I launched another offer? Like, how crazy would that be? Like, what would that do to my self-trust? Like, imagine, because I literally thought of the offer, and 48 hours later, I was like talking about it to someone in the DMs. And then like within those 48 hours, I'd gotten like 2 sales. Like, what the hell? And then I got like another baddie in, and then another baddie inquired, and then actually like a 5th baddie says she's in, she just needs to get in January. And it's like, I have so much more self-trust now going into 2024, knowing that I can just drop a program like that. And that was honestly so worth it. So even if it magically turns out, hey RP, even if it magically turns out that like this new mini program that I dropped is like a giant mistake, which I highly doubt, I will still be so happy that I dropped that mini program, because I showed myself that I can actually rely on myself to take action quickly when I get an idea, right? I'm not talking about like making rash decisions and just like jumping onto the first idea that flies into your head. No, I actually did market research. I thought about this offer. It wasn't just like, I'm going to do something quickly. But it was like, I was like, I want to drop this offer. Here are the 5 reasons why I think I need to drop it. I'm really freaking scared to just like turn this around in 48 hours. Like, what if no one buys? What if this is a bad idea? And I just literally like ripped that fear away, and I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway. Let's do it, because I want to prove to myself that I can launch a freaking offer in 48 hours. And I did it, and I got freaking like 4 baddies inside. So I think like the biggest kind of like thing that I want to go into with 2024 is just like action and just like self-trust, and just like really owning my business, owning my own decisions, owning my mistakes too if it turns out to be a mistake, but also not looking at it as a mistake, because I will learn something, I will build self-trust, and I will get closer to what the ultimate kind of like answer is in my business. So yeah. So 3rd decision, don't regret it. Like I just said, even if it's some kind of random awful mistake, which I highly doubt, I don't regret it, because I built so much freaking self-trust. It's crazy. Like, it's like pretty badass too. Like launching a free challenge in the last 10 days of 2023, and then dropping a new offer in the last 4 days of 2023 and getting 4 sales. Like, what the hell? That's like, I don't think I would have expected that for myself at the beginning of 2023. But yeah, so those are the 3 decisions I wanted to walk you through. I don't regret any of them. I don't. They were difficult decisions. They really took a lot out of me, but I think I'm very, very happy with them. And even if they were the wrong decisions, whatever, who cares? That's the whole point of business. We're figuring it out, right? So I hope you enjoyed these insights. Making decisions in business is always super hard. And yeah, if you had a light bulb moment, send me a DM. I will love to hear from you. I'm going to slowly head over to the living room and start setting up for New Year's. I'm so excited. I hope you have an incredible New Year's, and I am so freaking excited for 2024. All right, I'll chat to you soon, baddie.